Michael Jamie Foxworthy says, Plek, heard it's a waste of money and that a skilled tech can do the same. Buddy just got a brand new Les Paul. Plek from Gibson, nicest guitar action I've ever played in 20 years. Thoughts on the Plek? I did a video on the Plek. Had a Squire that I bought personally. I had Sweetwater Plek the guitar, and then I compared it to a custom shop, mostly because it's, for the dramatic effect, right? I want to be like, what is it going to, how's it going to be? You got to get people's attention and talk about it. But ultimately, what I really wanted to convey, and I think I did in that, and of course I did a follow-up video, how did I like it 6 months later? I'll say this, said it then, said it in other podcasts, I'll keep saying it. A Plek machine is a technology that can do what a person does. I don't personally think a Plek machine is better than a good tech, a guitar tech. Well, it's definitely not faster. But here's what it is. It's very consistent. Like all machines, it doesn't have a bad day. The technician could have a bad day, and there's a lot of stuff that has to be done besides what the machine is doing. But ultimately, it's about consistency. That's what a Plek machine is. Not so much about safety. Like when you think of CNC machines, they're about precision, getting the same thing over and over again, but also safety because people, you get hurt on the job and you want to reduce that. However, there is something about a Plek machine that is technically safety. I like my two fingers, technically, air quotes, safety. It is because here's the thing. There are professions that are known to get certain injuries. I have a friend who's a dentist, and he said that dentists typically can get bad backs because they're in a weird position, bent over, working on your teeth all the time. And hygienists too, I'm just talking because of a type of thing that happens that type of field. Guitar techs can get all kinds of injuries from doing the same thing over and over again, just like factory workers, just like plumbers, just like electricians, right? To people who do things, office workers, right? They can get carpal tunnel and stuff and tendonitis. So one thing about a Plek machine is it is doing the mundane part of the tech work so that you're not doing that over and over again and not dealing with a problem in your 50s or 60s. So that's one of the things that's nice. And that's essentially what you want to look at the Plek machine as. Not a guarantee, but it's going to do a good job, more likely to do a good job consistently than a good tech. It will save some people from some future pains and sufferings that they might have from their job, because that instead of doing those things, they can do other things that maybe are not as tedious and have to do so much all the time. And that's about it. But to say, like, I've never said, and I'll never say, a Plek is better than a technician. Like I said, a Plek machine is better than a crappy tech. But, that's not really a standard you want to hold to. But it is as good as a good tech. And I think even somebody asked me one day, like, who do you think would do better setup, you or a Plek machine? And I'm like, well, I think the bigger question is how, if you made me do 100 setups, and you made the Plek machine do 100 setup crown levels, and then you looked at all 100 guitars, I would definitely bet that the Plek machine beat me in overall consistency. Right? It put out a better amount of consistent work. And that also, and I'm also taking out the anomaly that, of course, if I knew, you're going to check all 100 against the Plek machine, would I up my game? Sure. But I'm talking about legitly, just as a human being, a human, and not acting like an egotistical jackass. Somebody who's like, look, if you didn't tell me you were going to do it and you took my last 100 guitars that I did setups and worked on the frets, and then you compared to a Plek machine, I would expect that the Plek machine would give you better consistency than I could. That's because that's what machines can do. And that also explains when somebody goes, well, I got a guitar and it's Plek and I don't think it's great. Yeah, well, that happens too. I went to a restaurant and I had a good steak, and I went there one other time and I had a bad steak. That happens. It's the variance of those things that can... So until they get a Plek machine that cooks steaks, I guess. If you enjoyed this podcast clip, you can watch the entire episode by clicking the link in the description or streaming it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You can also join it live every week, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I hope to see you there. Until next time, know your gear.